All right, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Wrestling with Tomorrow. It's 2026 and our first episode of the year. I'm your host, Mike Kinney, and with me today.
Well, shit, I haven't thought of this yet. I'm your co-host, Randy Herrig. Welcome to the new year.
Oh my God, is that really all you got?
Biatch!
New year, new you.
Not new me.
No.
Not new me. New and improved and fuller of shit than ever.
Well, that's what the listeners and viewers want from you, pal. So hopefully you can turn her up a couple of notches for them. Today's going to be a very special episode. Still the same two guys, but we told you before, we just got a little bit better framework. Listen, this podcast only started out as a platform to talk about rebuilding confidence after setbacks. And somehow along the way, we got a little bit off track. I wouldn't say all the way, because there's been a lot of mental health stuff we've been talking about, a lot of really good work we've been doing. Now it's time. We're just kind of trying to keep the boat in between the buoys, if you will, and go right back to the actual mission at hand, was helping people rebuilding confidence after setbacks. And that's why we're here. So, Randy, let's start it out. New year. I know I told you before I want to do New Year's resolutions at the end, and we're going to circle back to it. But I just got to know. Because I don't think you and I've actually ever had this conversation before. Are you a New Year's resolution guy?
No.
You're not. I didn't think you would be. Do you know anybody? Is there anybody that's close to you that does do New Year's resolutions?
Not like immediately close to me. There's like people that I know that do it and they think, oh, it's the greatest. We start over and fresh and everything.
Sure.
And it's just.
I understand and I'm just like you. I don't really do them either. I'll talk about maybe later on what I do instead, but my experience with them has always been like, they're always the same. It always revolves around something like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym and whatever, right? It's always something like that. Or I'm going to eat better. I'm going to quit smoking, or I'm going to quit this, or I'm going to quit that. And it's great. But then like we get 2 weeks into the new year and people are like, ah, fuck it. I mean, that's
exactly
right?
It.
Yeah.
The track record of that kind of shit, it makes it okay to like say piss on it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like everybody seems to fail at this, that, and the other every fucking year.
For sure.
And it's like, well, I didn't make it either, so what the fuck? You know, I don't think that's the right way to look at it.
Now, listen, have you ever set any New Year's resolutions before? Because I have.
Well, sure. I've said, you know, I'm going to try to watch my weight better, you know, that sort of generic stuff that people say.
Yeah.
And you get going with your life and you're busy and you're this, that, and the other thing. And you're just out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. And it just down the road.
So maybe what's happening to people like me and you, excuse me, what's happening to people like me and you is perhaps we have set unattainable or unreasonable resolutions, and maybe, just spitballing here, I don't know, I'm not a psychiatrist, but maybe it impacted our confidence in a way where we were like, you know what, it's impacting me negatively so much that I'm not going to go back to the well with it. I'm not going to keep doing it. I think some people might be like that, because if you set those goals for yourself and you fail on them right away in the new year, that's got to do something to your confidence, right? You would think.
Yeah, you know, and I think some of it is having such a broad goal. Like, what do you mean you want to lose weight? What are we talking about here? You want to lose 300 pounds like Jelly Roll? Or do you want to realistically say, hey, I'm heavy. I really need to lose 25 pounds. I really want to concentrate on that. Sure. Like, so, what are we talking about? Let's not throw some shit out that isn't defined.
For sure. That's exactly where I was going to go with it. A New Year's resolution is nothing more than a dream, right? It's a goal without a plan. It's a goal without a plan. You have to have some kind of plan in place. You can't just wish yourself into being thinner again, or wish yourself into being richer, or whatever, right? Whatever.
You can try it. It hasn't ever worked for me.
Hey, man, right? That's what I'm saying. So
I'm still not a millionaire. I keep thinking, God dang, that'd be really cool.
That Powerball just doesn't come my way, man.
Fucker, don't ever. I think it's fixed. I can't ever win. Fucking
But you
bullshit,
know what
really.
they say, you can't win if you don't play. So there's that too. But the reality, like, listen, here's my stance on resolutions. I don't do them because I don't believe in the hype, because I just said it to you. A goal without a plan is a dream. And I don't really operate like that. Like if I set a goal for myself, I do have next steps planned out. I wasn't always like that. I learned
Sure.
I learned that in the school of hard knocks, man. You have to set a reasonable plan, and the goal itself has to be reasonable. For me, if I let's just say it was a weight thing, and I was like, all right, Randy, I want to lose 100 pounds. I don't want to lose 100 pounds, but if I want to lose 100 pounds in 2026, and you're going to go, great. How are you going to do that? I'm going to be like, I don't know, salads, I guess. I don't know. Like you know immediately, like Mike's never going to lose 100 pounds for two
And
reasons.
see, like, that's like one of those things, like posting that shit on Facebook. Like, hey, everybody, I'm going to do this. Is it for attention?
I think it's for
Or is it
accountability.
is it a serious deal where you mean it? Or is it like everybody's like, "Oh boy, that sounds awesome," you
That's a
know?
fair question, because if you're posting stuff on Facebook, you're only doing it for one of two reasons. It's either attention or accountability. That's it.
Both
So,
probably.
right? And so, like, if I'm going to post, like, me specifically, whatever I post online, I post it very intentionally because I want that accountability. So if I was serious about wanting to lose X amount of pounds and I wanted to go online and people are going to be like, yeah, Mike, go get them. Nobody's going to know what my plan is. I'm not going to have a plan. And then I'm not going to achieve it just because there's no plan in place. That's seriously it. Also, the goal was way too lofty. For me to lose 100 pounds, I would be like, I would be 130 pounds. And that's, not only would that look unhealthy, but it's completely unreasonable to think that, I'm 5'10". I shouldn't be 130 pounds at 5'10". So
Well, see, that would get me to wonder too, like, why? What's going on mentally with you that it's
fair.
that extent?
My point
Like
is
that's
that
right.
if I'm going to set a goal, it needs to be reasonable. Randy, I'm going to lose 15 pounds by December 31st. You'd go, okay, that's
Because it's believable.
it, and it's
You
achievable,
certainly
right? It's
could do
reasonable.
it. Yep. You could
Absolutely.
certainly do it. And then you accomplish that, maybe I'll try to lose another 10
Yep.
and
I love it.
stay where I'm at and do a little better.
Yep. So
That
what
seems more useful than I'm gonna fucking lose weight, like that doesn't.
do yourselves a bit of a confidence boost. If you have already set yourself a New Year's resolution, that's fine. And
Absolutely
if
fine.
you're toward it and you're doing great, good on you. And I hope you do whatever it is that your
Oh
goal is that
yeah.
you set out to do.
Hell
But
yes.
here's the thing. If you're already this far into the new year and you're already teetering, don't quit, readjust.
Let's
Maybe the
redefine what you're.
Yep. First and foremost, Randy and I just talked about it. Reset that goal. Maybe the goal was too lofty. Maybe you need to dial it back a little bit. Crawl before you walk, so to speak.
Yep.
Nothing wrong in doing that. That's how, just adjust quickly, right? Fail quickly is like the old cliche. Fail quickly. Okay, now you know what your limit is. Dial it back, and and have a process in place for you to follow to be able to hit that goal. Process and reasonable goal. What am I missing, Randy?
It seems pretty on point to me. Like I said, I think that's the easy way out is to set a goal that's unattainable in a time frame that you think, or like you said with the weight thing, like that's absurd. It
Is
doesn't make sense. It's too much for you to lose that much.
Yeah. Yep.
Like set something that's realistic, a realistic time period and be flexible with that a little bit. You know what? If you went the year and you lost 12 pounds, don't beat up on yourself.
Oh my
If you
gosh.
or if you
Right?
lost 20 pounds, that's okay. You're heading in the right direction. And
Whatever your
that's the
goal is,
most
right?
important thing.
Yep. Whatever that goal is, give yourself a little bit of grace, because after all, we're all human here. Okay. You're setting the goal for you anyway.
Right.
So make sure that you don't do your confidence an injustice and set yourself 10 steps back before you even rush out of that gate beginning of the new year. All right. Now, I said before, I do something a little bit differently. Maybe I don't know, Randy. Maybe you don't touch it at all. I don't necessarily do
I
New
have.
Year's. There you go. I don't necessarily do New Year's resolutions, but there are two things that I try to do at the end of each year. Number one is in my brain, I just kind of sit. Maybe I'm in the car on the way home from work, whatever it is, and I just try to do a quick recap in my brain. And I try to, every wrestling match begins and ends with a bell, ding ding, right? That's how you know the match is beginning and the match is ending. At the end of the year, it's time to ring that bell. You're bringing the match home. What have I accomplished this year that I'm proud of? What's my bell ring for the year? And this year, particularly, I'm incredibly proud. We're 2025. I'm incredibly proud of everything that I've been able to accomplish personally, professionally, publicly, whatever it is. But I also had some setbacks, and I had a Kickstarter punch me in the mouth that didn't get funded for a documentary that was about me. And I'm going to make many jokes about this in my keynote speech about if you ever want to find out who you really are in this world, try to launch a Kickstarter for a documentary about yourself, and you'll see how nobody actually gives a shit. So that's a confidence kick in the balls. And then, the whole documentary itself fell apart. That also hurt quite a bit. So, or hurt's probably a strong term, but
That's a blow to the ego for sure when you try
it
to get something
is.
done and
Yeah.
you don't get it done.
It is, but I got all the footage finally. All the footage that was taken from the entire year is finally back in my hands. I'm
Good.
just thrilled. Yeah, I have it all, and I went through
And,
all of it, and yeah, I own it.
see, that's the thing now. You got it. You can move forward in a different way or
Yeah,
however, and you
yeah.
have that to use. You adapt.
And I'm going to talk about my adaptation later on in this episode.
Nice segue.
I don't even have to say it. I don't even have to say it. I've been practicing the art of the segue, Randy. That's my
I,
New Year's resolution, motherfucker.
oh boy, you promise to say segue more. We can't all be bright, ladies and gentlemen. We
Hey,
just
well, you
can't.
know what? I'm going to teach you how to spell it, and so we'll all be set on the word segue this year. You got me?
And I will teach you how to use the phrase "fuck off ski."
I think I went to high school with that guy. Is that his last name? Anyway,
Played
hey,
hockey.
you played hockey. I bet he did. I bet he did. Oh boy, I gotta check my notes here. I know I was going to talk about something. Listen, a lot of this is going to be about rebuilding confidence after setbacks, and
Yeah.
so we're talking about driving home from work. I got a lot of windshield time usually, especially if the weather gets to be crap. I get stuck in traffic. This Minneapolis St. Paul traffic is a nightmare. So I'm sitting in traffic and I'm thinking, I just told you I did some reflection. Well, it was just, what was it, 4 years ago, I got laid off from my career I had at UPS for 14 years. And I was devastated. We've covered that in depth on this podcast. But one of the things I really got to thinking about was like, I started interviewing that summer to find a new career. I was trying to interview quickly. I had rules for myself every day. I would apply for 10 jobs, no less, sometimes more, but never less than 10, no matter what. So a minimum of 70 applications went out per week. And it probably took like 6 weeks before the like follow-up started coming in from people wanting to maybe do interview number one. There were some circumstances where I would go through like 4 interviews with a company and still not get the gig. So confidence just all over the map on this one. I will say though, that first layoff, the confidence was certainly rocked, but not nearly as bad as the second layoff 11 months later. But I want to specifically talk about this first one because there was this very specific thing that happened to my ego. And we all have an ego. And, when I was working for UPS, I'd worked my way up the ladder pretty far. And I was very proud of that. And it got to be a level where I was at a manager level. I was a sales manager. I've been fighting for that job for so long. And I setback after setback and heartbreak after heartbreak. And I finally got it. The thing about that job in that company was it was one of those jobs where like, once you got it, you're made. Like it's the real deal. So that's why I never saw the layoff coming. I never thought that it was going to happen to me. We'd heard rumors a whole year prior to it, but nobody ever thought it was going to happen to them. So there's a certain bit of swagger that comes with finally getting that job. And when you do, you kind of got to keep your ego in check. But what I didn't realize is I didn't have enough experience beyond UPS to know that that's not how the rest of the nobody gives a shit where, what your job was somewhere else. They don't care. Um, they just want to know what your roles and responsibilities were, how long you were there, and if they really, really, really want to know, they're going to start asking you questions about your pay. That's pretty much it. I mean, let's be real,
What
right?
can you do for them?
Bingo, right?
100%.
I had this very specific job interview. I'm not going to say who the company was for, but it was a healthcare company. Okay. And it was a pretty high profile gig. And I was stoked to even get the interview. And I was like, pfft. And it was like, it had to have been one of my first like 2 or 3 interviews after getting laid off. And I had some swagger still about me. And to me, right, I I was trying to mask my heartbreak, I guess, with being overconfident. I think that I was I don't know, I think in a lot of ways I was just trying to mask how much pain I was in, and
Sure.
it came across really strange in interviews. I was so overconfident that I didn't prep for the interviews. And I know that if you're sitting out there and you're thinking, I can't believe Mike didn't do that. Look, I was in this bubble at UPS for so long. I didn't know, or I didn't think that that's what I thought, that just because I worked there, honestly, I really thought this, just because I worked there, people would be jumping at just the opportunity to hire me. I really did think that.
Sure.
And boy, was I wrong.
Hmm.
And I remember being in this interview, and it was a Zoom interview because you got to think 2001, it was still heavy, heavy COVID. So it was like a lot of the interviews were being done either on by phone or just by Zoom at that point. And I interviewed this male and female. Both of them were probably 10 or 15 years older than me. So they'd been in these careers for a very long time. They understood how things really worked. One of them was from HR, as they tend to be, and the other one is from the actual management team that I'd be working with. And they started asking me questions, right? And again, I told you I didn't prep, but I feel like one of my strengths really is that I can read a room pretty quickly, either on Zoom or whatever, right? I can just kind of like get the vibe and understand where we need to go. And I bet we weren't 5 minutes into that thing, and I started reading these two, and they were just like, and they were together. Oh, I should have mentioned they were together in the same room together, right? And they were just kind of giving each other the look, and I'm just like, oh shit, what am I saying? And I don't remember what the questions were, and I don't remember what my answers were. I remember being way too cocky about my answers. And then I remember them cutting me off in the middle of an answer and telling me that they were going to end the interview early and thank you for applying. And that was it. The end. End of video. Done.
That's a Fukovsky.
Oh, I was so devastated that that happened. Not because it happened, but because I let it happen. You know what I'm saying? I
Well,
did that.
sure. And it's not like going through the interview and not hearing from the company and not getting a job. It's when they say, hang on, that we're just going to be done with this and thank you." Then you're like, "Fuck, it's something I did."
Yeah, you know
It's
it.
not something else where I'm just not the candidate. It's like I did do something, or I didn't do something I needed to.
Dude, it sucks so bad because what happens in the moment like that is you have to do some serious self-reflection. And that alone is a setback in itself and will rock your confidence to the core. So I was already just like treading water emotionally, man. And then like that interview happened. And I'm kind of like, in hindsight now, I'm glad that it did happen the way that it did,
Sure.
because it changed how I approached every single interview after that. And not just interviews, but like any like one-on-one situation that was already pre-planned. So what I mean by that is like if I've done any podcast interviews with somebody or just stuff unbusiness related that's maybe like akin to my wrestling background or whatever it is, right? Just like anything that I've done that might put me in some kind of weird profile. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Anything that I know I need to prepare for, I've started doing it. And so what I mean by that is, so like after that, I thought, okay, there has to be some preparation here, because confidence doesn't just come from showing up, right? You like that's just the entry, just to even think that you would even have confidence. Just showing up is just part of the deal. But you have, like, for me personally, what I have found on people is that preparing for whatever it is you need to prepare for, that's what builds your confidence, not the actual, like, putting the reps in. You
You
know what I'm
like
saying?
going in with the ammo loaded, not going in
Exactly right.
empty and being like, oh well, I'll just fucking whatever I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go
It's
in
the
with some
preparation.
shit. That gives you the confidence.
Yep. And I look at back at like my wrestling world too, like back in the day. So and if there's any wrestlers out there listening to this, God bless you. But if you're young in the wrestling business, I need to tell you this, and I need to be very serious about this. If you have an opportunity to go to a wrestling camp and work out regularly during the week, please do so. Because here was my mentality while I was working. And if you don't know this, I was an independent wrestler for 10 years. Okay. My mentality at that time, because I was young and naive, was that I'm working enough on the indie circuit. I don't need to go to camp. That was my mentality. And that might have been true for people in the territory days, but that was because there were no fucking camps for people to go to. They couldn't just do that. And they were working 4 or 5 days a week anyway. That's not wrestling world anymore. Preparation is what gives you the confidence for execution. All right. I'm telling you that right now. So, what if we go back to the interview stuff? I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to print out, I'm going to Google the top 25 most common asked questions for a sales rep. I wanted to go a level down from the job that I was applying for. I'm applying for sales manager, sales VP roles at this point. So I want to know what they're looking for in sales reps. So I am just hammering through the fundamentals, and I'm having in the car with my wife, and she's just Q&A constantly, questions and answer. She's putting me on the spot. We're doing quick role plays on the deal, like not those kind of role plays, Randy. Well, maybe, but not in this circumstance. Not
Liar,
while the car is running. Okay, this is
liar,
danger. Okay,
liar.
okay. But she would say, okay, here's one of the questions, and I would try to give an answer, and then we would go through it. We would diagnose it. Was it the right answer? Could I have given a better answer? Over and over and over again. All the while, I'm actually interviewing. So it wasn't just like I just did this once and then it was okay, off to interview again. Nope. I'm actively interviewing while I'm still doing all this. If you're out there and you're in any kind of world that belongs to you, if you're in any kind of setback in that world, you have to actually put in the work to have some kind of plan. Repetition, whatever it is, right? Like, you need to come up with a plan, because that confidence illusion will collapse. It will collapse very, very quickly if you don't have a plan to execute whatever it is you need to execute. The process, the plan, and the reps, that will give you the confidence to carry you through whatever it is that you need to carry through on. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it's no different than football team practices every week before the game.
Yep.
Baseball players take their baseball practice. Independent wrestling's no different. If except for a lot of times you don't have an opportunity to practice.
Yep.
So when you do, there's a hell of a lot of value to it. And there's nobody that knows everything about the business. You can always
Sure.
learn something, whether it's behind the scenes or etiquette or how to work in the ring or whatever it is. There's a zillion other things when you're concentrating on something that there's other things too.
Yeah.
So being around more people that have questions, maybe stuff that you've wondered about, or maybe that you know a little bit about, but they know something else that you don't. And you can
Yeah.
kind of work off each other a little bit. But confidence, you have to seek out confidence. It doesn't just fall in your lap. By practicing, and for you doing the role playing with your wife and looking up the questions and stuff like that, that's trying to put in some practice before you head into the big game.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you can fuck up in the car with her. That's okay. You can say dumb
Yep.
shit. You can screw it up. You can, I don't know, you can do all of that, but you can't do it during the interview and
Yeah.
look confident,
That's true.
you know?
Yeah, you're right. It's not going to fall in your lap. And there's the one thing I'm working on right now is going out and doing the speaking, trying to get on the speaking circuit, right?
Right.
And I have been delaying this for years because I've been honestly, I know this is a bit of a strange thing for me to even say out loud. I've been waiting to feel confident enough to even do it because I've constantly had this like imposter syndrome when it comes to it. Like, oh, these other people have really great stories, mine's not so great. These people are better speakers than me, I'm not so great. It's just all this shit, right? And
I,
so
I think that's a lot of things with trying something new.
yeah,
Like maybe you used to go bowling with your friends every Friday night or something, and you thought it was kind of fun, and you think like, I'd like to try to play a league someday. So you show up at the alley for the first night, and there's all these teams that have played for years. They all got their matching shirts on
yeah,
for that, and you're the new guy, and jack and shit compared to what they do. How do you not feel like the outsider?
yeah,
how
for
how
sure.
do you come in and say, okay, I'm just here like you guys and just want to enjoy bowling? you know how do I do that? And how do I not look like the imposter?
Yep. And some of that goes back to before, right? Showing up is great, but now you got to put the work in. Sometimes it's networking, sometimes it's practicing, whatever it is.
Yep.
Like I decided, okay, I'm going to start taking these classes. I'm going to start going to these events. I'm going to start meeting other speakers. I'm going to show up to things that I'm not even booked on just to watch how other speakers perform. I'm not even there to perform. I'm just watching them. I'm learning from them. I'm I'm trying to know what's working for them so that I can know what works for me. And in the background, I'm building out my keynote. I'm building out some seminars. I'm doing all these other things because this year I'm going to have some paid speaking events. And we'll talk more about that later. But I have the confidence enough to know that now I'm putting the work in. I'm practicing some of my speech already. I'm doing all of these things because frankly, when I got done doing the TED Talk, 9 years ago almost now, I was like, "Fuck, man. Like, if they don't wanna book me and they know how good I am, then fuck them." Well, that's
Right.
a really dumb way to approach anything. Like, that's straight up ego, and, man, the things you can learn in such a short amount of time, that's 9 I'm of a completely different mindset 9 years later. It's like, I know what my skill is. I know what level I can speak at. I know how high, of a level I can speak at. But I got a lot to learn, man. I'm not, plus I can't piss everybody else off in the process because some people need to vouch for me too. So it's one of those deals.
That's my job.
That is your job. That and blowing your nose. You got to get over
Well,
this cold.
I know, dude. It's actually a it's like a sinus infection virusy type thing. I've been struggling for a week and I sound brilliant compared to what I did. It was
48
really,
hours ago, folks. Just
really bad.
48 hours ago, just a little more than that, maybe 53 hours ago, looking at the clock. I called
Who
Randy
count?
yeah, it's close enough. I called Randy to shoot the breeze, and he was talking like,
Hello.
and I was like,
Hello.
I thought he was joking at first. Turns out he wasn't. We didn't know. I didn't know until right around lunchtime today if we are actually going to record today. We recorded our January bonus episode right before this, and I told him, I said, "Man, we've got 2 episodes to shoot today, and I hope that you have got enough Nasacort in your system to be able to carry you through."
No, man, I'm good. You can definitely still tell in my voice, but my throat doesn't hurt or anything like that. It's just purely this whole sinus thing.
Yeah,
So I feel fine,
yeah. There's a lot of
but
shit going around too, though.
it's exactly right. Hey,
Yeah,
I was gonna say too, back at that last, you over these 9 years have learned how to believe in yourself,
true.
not just, hey, I fucking did the TED talk and you know, not just that. A lot has happened in 9 years since then. A ton.
Yeah,
And you learn through all kinds of different ways, but maybe you're at the point now where you're like, hey, I know that I can go, I can do a speaking engagement, and I can do it where I don't feel like a fool when I'm done. I feel like I didn't waste anyone's time. I gave them something they can take home and learn from. So
Yeah,
you've gotten to that point with the speaking now where it's feasible. And maybe 9 years ago it wouldn't have been
I think.
because of the, well, you don't want to fucking get me on there, fuck you. You know, that
Hey,
you
man,
probably weren't ready.
and I'll give you another example of this. About you know they say confidence improves with repetition, right? I do believe some of that is true. Now, I took on several speaking engagements in the year or two following the TED Talk, and here's what I'm going to tell you: I didn't prepare for those either. How I walked into those, and they were, and I don't want to say they're miserable failures, but I felt like they were. One of them for sure was a miserable failure, and I'm going to share that story with you in a second. I couldn't even get a fucking testimonial from the people that booked me. They ghosted me afterwards because it was so goddamn bad. But like, I don't want everybody to think like you have to be great at everything that you do, because that you can't. Like, you can't. But
No.
I wasn't confident about what I was going to execute. I was cocky. And so cocky is what got me in trouble. If I would have prepared better for these speaking engagements, I think that I would have been confident about it. The irony of it all was I was speaking about, guess what? Self-confidence. And I couldn't even fucking do it, right? So here's the story. I got to speak at a high school in St. Paul. Now, if you ever get a chance to, this is for anybody out there, if you ever get a chance to speak publicly, they call it the Raptors cage. The speakers call it the Raptors cage, speaking at a high school, because if you ever see Jurassic Park, where they're constantly like, the Raptors are coming and they're getting their hands in front of them, they're trying to like slowly, like slow. They're trying not to move very quickly in front of the Raptors because they don't want the Raptors to pounce on them. Those are the high school students. And this is they very commonly refer to high school audiences as the Raptor cage. It is the first place. Like, if you screw up, you'll know. You'll know right away. And I will tell you that I didn't know that it was called the Raptors cage when I went in there. It was, like I said, it was a St. Paul high school, inner city. And I went in there because they had seen my TED Talk, and I got asked to speak at this great big event. And I think I'm lucky in some ways because I actually spoke at a breakout session. And so what that was is they had there was a lot of stuff going on at that school that day. They had me in an actual classroom, and I think I had to speak 3 times. And the students could like pick, like, oh, here's this pro wrestling guy who whatever, right? And then come into my breakout session, and I talk. And the way here's the breakdown of it, and here's the brilliant non preparing I did for this. I thought, well, this will be easy. I'll just, and by the way, I did these for free. Like, I wanted to get repetitions at being able to speak publicly, right? So they were free. And so I thought, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show them my TED Talk, and then I'm going to do a very quick like synopsis, like a recap of the TED Talk. And then they're going to be so curious about it that I'll host a Q&A. That's what I thought was going to work, Randy. And here's what they really wanted. Sure, they were fine with me showing the TED Talk. I had a 50 minute window per session. My TED Talk was like 13 minutes, so I'm like, no problem. 35-ish minutes in and out. I can do this. Q&A, and I'll just ramble on. In the first session, these kids were just screwing around the whole time during the video. And this is the first one. And I'm sitting in the back of the classroom because I want to like see how they're responding to it. Right? Because I've gotten all this great feedback about it. So now it's going to be live. This is going to be live feedback. I haven't experienced this before. And they're screwing around the whole time and they're not really paying attention to it. And I'm like, oh shit. They're not really watching it. They have no idea who I am. They're not going to care. This is a freaking going to be a disaster. No problem. I'll just roll with it. The TED Talk ends, and I walk up in front of the classroom, and there's probably 20 high school kids in there. who had zero interest in even being there that day. The only reason they were there is because they had to be, but they essentially treated me like a substitute teacher, which meant that they just didn't give a shit and they were going to just do whatever they wanted. Hey, I get it. I was in high school. I kind of respect it, but it really fucking hurt. Two reasons. Number one, my ego took a straight blast to the jaw. And number two, I just thought I was going to be able to provide more value than what I did. And I let myself down. So I went up there and I did a quick recap of the TED Talk. And when I say quick, I'm talking like minute and a half, right? I buzzed through it because these kids are not paying attention. They're throwing shit at each other and it's like that. And I kind of stepped back and I said, okay, anybody want to do a Q&A? And here's the Q&A that I got. Can I go to the bathroom? I think that was like the main question that I got. And I was like, I don't care. Go. Like it was.
Yes, but you can't leave the room.
Yeah. Stand and deliver, son. So it was a disaster. And and they all leave. And I'm thinking, God, I hope that's just an anomaly, right? I mean, they can't all be like this. They were all like that, Randy. The last one, there was another speaker and she was great. She must have had like, I think it was where she was in one of the classrooms next to me, but she didn't have like a session at the same time slot. So she came in to watch my stuff. And that woman felt so bad for me that when I went up there to actually do the Q&A portion, she could tell I was a whip pup by that point, man. I had all the confidence and it sucked out of me. I was just going through the motions. I didn't want to be there. Like it was bad. And she was trying to prompt the students. Clearly she'd done this before, but she was trying to prompt the Raptors to ask questions. And a couple of them kind of decided they were going to play ball and just like throw me a couple of mercy questions, but that's exactly what they were. Like they were mercy questions. And it was just, the whole experience was very humbling in the point that like I didn't prepare. I let my ego get the best of me. And to your point, in the last 9 years, I'm never going to put myself in another situation like that again. I probably over prepare now for most things, or I overthink everything. Whereas before, with a lot of stuff, including my wrestling career, I would just like make decisions on on a whim, just on like a whim. And that got me heat with some people, got me heat with the Insane Clown Posse for some of the shit I did. So, it is what it is. It cost me my deal in Japan. So I think that, yeah, I've grown up a little bit in the last 9 years, and I've also learned, and which is the gift I'm giving all of you, is like, listen, confidence is never, ever, ever, ever going to be handed to you. It's never going to fall in your lap. And if you're waiting around for the right time to have confidence, it's never going to happen. It just never is. You have to practice. You have to put the reps in. You have to put the work into it. And once you're completely prepared for whatever it is you're chasing, that's when the confidence will show up for you.
Agreed. Yeah. And you probably don't know this, but I went to work for a salesman job. And it started off that we were all on the phones trying to call people that had the service the year before and try to get them to re-up for the new year.
Was it like so just so I know, is this a telemarketer position?
It wouldn't be. It would be an actual door-to-door type sales.
Oh, you were in person.
Mm-hmm.
You're canvassing.
Yep.
Which
but
is a whole other kind of, oh shit, dude. That's a brutal job.
Yep. And it got to the point that, a lot of times when you call on the phone, people are irritated immediately.
For sure.
They just, I'm doing something else. You're bothering me because I'm at home and I don't give a shit. I want to do what I'm doing. Between that and all the scam calls and crap, they think everything's like that. So it's really, really difficult. But what I was going to say about this is the guy that was the manager of the office that I went to, he told us a story and he said, I had to learn how to be able to talk to somebody You're calling on the phone, you don't know who you're talking to. It's a voice. It's hard to build rapport with a voice. In person, you can kind of do that. You see they got a Vikings flag outside the house. There's a chance there's a fan in that place.
Sure.
So if you say, "Hey, did you see the game?" You can kind of get some, "Oh," and you're just talking to somebody that's friendly, and it's not so much a sales thing. But he said, when I used to go to my sales job before I got up here, I would get to work every day and I'd sit in my car and I'd look in the rear view mirror and say, "You're the shit. You can do this. You know, you
Yeah.
you're
Positive
good. You're
self-talk.
good at this."
Yeah.
Self-affirmation type
Yeah.
deal.
I love that.
And I just remember him saying, he goes, "I probably shouldn't say it this way, but I'd say, Tim, you are the shit. You got this."
Mhm.
That's something that I remember about that too. This is a completely different guy doing a completely different thing. He's not just doing speaking, he's doing
Yeah.
sales. So his
Yeah.
job relies on this.
For sure.
And he still every day had to remind himself.
I've been in that game 15 years, Randy.
You still every day got to make
I
sure
get it.
you still know that you're
Oh my God.
you're there. You're not good on Fridays only, or
I,
whatever. Like it's
I continue to teach my sales reps that, like, once you have the confidence about yourself, so in that moment, this guy you're talking about, Tim, he has the confidence to go in there and do it, but he has to keep doing the reps. He has to keep doing that over and over again because that confidence will fade. And if you don't think your confidence does fade, it turns to cocky very quickly without you even realizing it. You have to stay prepared, and being prepared is what builds confidence.
and a million things happen during your lifetime that you can't predict. Like, let's say you're at work and you're in the zone. You're making calls and you're trying to sell stuff,
Yeah.
and you get a text and says, "Hey, call home when you get a minute." Okay, so you call home. You get your wife on the phone, and she says, "Hey, I just found out my brother's got cancer."
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, what? Like that's a terrible, terrible deal. But how do you get back off the phone and not have that in your mind?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a consistency to reminding yourself, but you're gonna have to do that maybe even several times a day to get yourself back on track. You
Yeah.
just don't know.
In all the years, I've done a lot in sales and marketing in the last 15 years. And I had this boss, and I talk about him a little bit in my keynote. His name is Steve. We've all got a Steve out there. Steve was a type that, and I love him. If he listens to the pod, I don't know. I call him like twice a year, and I do it so he can kind of keep me level headed in some ways. He was actually my boss at the time when I did the TED Talks, and so I got a lot of feedback from him. But I have so much respect. So Steve is one of these people that will give you blatant feedback, and he will not care about your feelings because he knows feelings do not matter in that moment. You need just uncensored feedback for whatever reason. He's your guy. And I respected that so much from him. When I found out that he was retiring, I spent a lot of time with him because by the time he retired, he and I were at the same level in the hierarchy of that company. And but to me, I was still like his student. And there were times where I would get all fucking worked up and I'd charge into his office and I'd just plop down and he'd be at his computer, man. And he'd see me, he'd just kind of look out of the corner of his eye, he'd see me coming, and I would just be on a tear. I would just be like, this and that and whatever. And that's why I learned with him, like, when people come into my office and talk to me and the door's shut, I give them free reign to say whatever it is they want. They can cuss, they can scream, they can do whatever they want because it's just me and them. And sometimes people need that. And there were times where I needed that and Steve knew it. So he'd let me do it. And when I would get done, or whatever, my little tirade was, Steve would say, "Okay," just like that, every fucking time. And that's like his mic drop. Every time I would just start on a fucking tear and Steve would go, "Okay," I would know that he had a lot to say after that. And it usually was followed up with something about saying, Mike, now listen, we all have got problems, okay? We've got cat problems, dog problems, crabgrass problems. So we need to figure out how to manage through those. And that would fucking be it, man. And Steve would just kind of like usher me out the fucking door. And I'd be like, all right. Like, what do you even say? You know, and he and I had many, many, many candid conversations about life and careers and just everything. Um, but he would do that, like the heavy doses of stuff. Everybody's got problems, Mike. Your problems aren't the only problems in this world. You need to be able to figure out how to manage those. And so that kind of lends back to what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
With your guy.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't get to stay at that job that long. It was a certain pay, but you got certain commission and stuff. And I was getting better and stuff like that, but it wasn't coming quick enough.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the problem with sales
And
sometimes. Yeah.
sometimes, you just gotta refocus and try something different.
You're right. You're right. I get it. All right, man. Let's see. This has been quite the episode so far.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we haven't made enough jokes.
Well, I haven't felt that confident to where I can actually.
I would have segued us into telling more jokes. I just didn't think you'd appreciate it.
I appreciate like slamming my testicles in a drawer.
Well, you'd have to have testicles in order for that to work.
I used to till they went in the fucking drawer.
Well, that does happen too.
I don't know why that happens. You slammed your testicles in the drawer?
I have not, but I mean the day is the day is young, so you never know. Let's do a little bit of a recap so far. Here are the notes that I took. Confidence is built through preparation and action.
H.
Preparation and action, not preparation H. Don't say them. They have not sponsored this podcast, Randy. So we're not just gonna drop. We're just not gonna drop names like that out there.
Hey, preparation H. If you want to support the show, I will do this. Every episode just for you for the puckered butthole thing.
And for those who are just listening, Randy put up the most obscene kiss face that I've seen today. Just today, though. Confidence is built through preparation and action. Confidence is earned, not found. It belongs to people willing to act without guarantees. Right? That's so fucking important. Confidence belongs to people willing to act without guarantees.
That's tough.
It is tough.
That's a thing to figure out.
All of this applies to leaders. This applies to teams, educators, performers, and the difference between understanding confidence and having confidence is being able to practice it.
Right.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Oh boy,
that reminds me of what you were talking about earlier too, about wrestling seminars and training and stuff like that. Now, you talked to me about having an opportunity coming up here to do something like that, where you go in and you talk to wrestlers, and instead of showing them stuff in the ring, you're going to teach them, what is it now, how to market yourself.
Yeah.
And
so
how would you explain that?
We talked about having imposter syndrome earlier. Yes, yep. I was a wrestler, but I wasn't, like a top guy anywhere. So when I got asked to
you were a bottom.
That's not what I said. But when I just randomly got asked by a promoter, hey, would you be willing to do a wrestling seminar at before one of our shows in 2026? I said, look, nobody wants to learn wrestling moves from me. Like, I've been out of the ring so long. And he goes, oh, well, I was hoping you would want to teach more about sales and marketing. And I went, right. Oh, well, that's perfect. That's right inside my wheelhouse. Now, I've been to a bunch of seminars where you get in the ring and you do a bunch of wrestling moves with a trainer, and they kind of teach you how to polish this and polish that. And it's like, well, I didn't want to do that. Like, that's not my shtick. And then that got my wheels, churning about, like, okay, I was a pro wrestler for 10 years. And then I became a professional person in the sales and marketing environment for 15 years. And it got my wheels spinning even more. I was like, can I marry the two? And I thought, hell yeah, I can. Like there are logical things that people can do from a sales and marketing perspective to help expand their career beyond just the weekly shows in the ring. Um, one of the things I did master while I was on the indies is how to make extra money on the side, whether that be through merchandise or whatever it is. There's just all these tools that nobody's ever taught, like how to be. That you and I are promoting shows now. So one of the things that I'm going to be teaching in that seminar that I'm going to tell you about here in a second is how to make yourselves more marketable and valuable to promoters. OPS, who are your customers as a professional wrestler? Who are
Yep.
your customers? Do you even, they're going to say the audience is my customer. Maybe. Does that mean the promoters are your clients? What are we talking about here? Do you even know the difference between the two? Are you marketing to the right ones? Are you trying to get your name? There's all of these things. I'm going to cover all of that, hopefully, in a 60-minute seminar
Hmm.
that I'm going to be doing.
Dude, what did you do? Hey, what did you do? Because I got no audio. Ladies and gentlemen, he just pooped the bed.
Are we back? Are we back?
Unfortunately, I was just about ready to go into
Okay.
some jokes.
I knew I did too. I was moving my hands around trying to get my phone and I my phone. All right,
Stay
Saturday, March
off the
21st.
fucking phone. We're recording.
Saturday, March 21st is this seminar. It's a sales and marketing seminar for professional wrestlers. And they've opened it up to people who are either currently training to be a wrestler or people who are actually on the independent wrestling circuit right now.
Sure.
It's so cheap. We're doing this is my first one we're going to do. 60 minutes of your time before the show. If you're interested in more information, you can message me right through my social media platforms and I'll give you all the information. It's $30. It's $30 and you get a free copy of my book. I'm going to be talking about the book and how you can do something similar as well. But I'm using the book as kind of a jumping off point. But you get a free copy of the book. You get all of this knowledge you really don't get taught at wrestling schools. Can you get this knowledge like throughout your
Sure.
wrestling career? Yeah, if you're
Sure.
paying attention. But I'm going to help you kind of expedite that curve. I mean, and there's no way you're not going to make your money back in the first few months, or if not sooner, if you apply some of these just basic theories I'm going to put out in front of you.
Well, and see, I have nothing to do with this,
Right.
so I can tell you when you're a young guy, there's a lot of stuff that you don't know. But thinking about me coming in as a fan, and I come and buy a ticket to the show because I like wrestling. It's an independent show. I don't know anybody on the show. I've only ever watched WWE. So I go to the show and I have an extra $20 that I could spend at somebody's merch booth. Is there anybody there that I want to do that for? What are you showing me in the ring? But also, if there's 10 to 20 guys on the show and they all got a t-shirt, why should I buy yours? Why should I buy yours? You have to know why. That's something you can learn with this. And
Yep.
also the thing about getting yourself booked and having promoters want you to be there and making yourself important to be there. Those are big deals. Not like, well, I called a guy and I sent him a link to some of my video stuff so he could see what I do in the ring. I'm a promoter, but I don't know you.
The
You
worst
know,
is the wrestlers who think that because they can do a couple of cool wrestling moves, they should be booked on every show. Like
there's a
that's
lot of those guys.
so
And
I'm going
for
to cover
me,
all that. Yeah, I'm going to cover all that.
that's what I'm saying is like, I don't know. We haven't discussed in depth what exactly you're doing. That's why I'm bringing this up as somebody outside this whole thing
Yep.
to just say, hey, there's some things to think about that you don't when you go to the show, you get there, you're working over your match and stuff. The showtime comes like that because it always does. And you're in the ring and you're done. And pretty quick, the fans are leaving and it's time to tear down the ring.
Yep.
So you have a certain amount of time to be the guy they want. They're just selling a picture, a t-shirt. but why you? It's no
and
different than anything else. You know, there's a
and
million bars to go have a beer at. Why do I want to come in your place?
and repeated times. This isn't just how do
Yep.
you get booked once. This is how do you become a value add to wherever it is you are, and to
Right.
keep getting booked over and over again. It's repeatable business.
And as a promoter too, I've had other promoters ask me before, hey, you got some guys that are absolutely faithful that will show up and they'll do a decent job. Yes, I do. I know a list of guys that I'd call anytime.
Yep.
And I know some that I'll never call.
Yep. That's true too.
So, a lot of food for thought from the other side of not being the wrestler guy now, but looking at from running the show standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm stoked about the seminar. I hope it goes well. We're going to
Yeah,
get a little bit of footage from it as well, and maybe it's something that'll take off. Maybe it's a one and done thing. I don't know. Maybe if the wrestlers see some value to it and they want to see me in other places, that'd be awesome. But
yeah,
it's not where my main focus is in 2026. That's for sure. I do have my sights set on something else,
sure. But
and
this could come into being a real something.
it very well
You
could.
don't
It
know.
very well
You
could.
don't know.
I
But
am I am setting sail on the speaking journey this year. Now, if you are listening to this and you've seen my TED Talk and you've listened to the podcast, here's the deal. I've put together a 60-minute keynote about building confidence after setbacks. This is specific for leaders. This is specific for education. This is specific for a lot of industries. If you want more information on that, please contact me through my social medias. I'm working on getting a new website put together. I got a couple more surprises I can't really talk about in regards to the speaking stuff right now, but I've been working with the National Speakers Association, specifically the Minnesota chapter, relentlessly, and I've got a whole bunch of folks that have been gracious with their time and their knowledge, and they're trying to smarten me up if you know that term, smarten me up into the speaking business, which is a whole crazy. There's a lot of parallels to pro wrestling, by the way, the pro wrestling business and the speaking world, which is super cool. Which actually got me more prepared for this than I thought I would be.
sure.
But I'm excited for it. I have a goal also set for this year. We talked about goals and having those. My goal is to have 10 paid speaking engagements in the year of 2026. March 21st is counting as one of them for that seminar. So I've got 9 more to plan for. So seminars, keynotes, all of that I'm available for. And man, I'm just excited I'm like a bull, man, waiting for that gate to rip open and I get to bucking. That's what I want to do.
Yep. And see, when you're thinking about goals too, March is that first one. That's 3 months in already.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And not to, be like, oh, you're not gonna make it. I'm not saying that. I hope you do. But in reality, you're in 3 months. So you got 9 more months, to pick up some more gigs and get them and do a good job where more people want you. And I
Yeah.
think you can do it, man. I really do. But
I hope so too.
it's gonna be some work.
Speaking of some work, I think one of those speaking engagements is going to be on April the 11th. That will be our next Lucha Union show at the El Pearl Ballroom in Austin, Minnesota. Tickets are on sale, folks. We're doing something a little bit different this time. LuchaUnion.com is where you can buy them in advance. They are $20 general admission in advance, $25 at the door. That remains the same. Front row tickets, though. Front row tickets are available for $35 a piece. There are a very limited number of these tickets. They will sell out before the show.
Well, and they've started selling already.
They have started selling. And so if you're
know.
listening to this and you're on the fence about going, just know that this is going to be a packed house. I'm going to tell you here, we have not announced it anywhere other than here, but this is it. Do you think I can make the announcement for our special guest announcer?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I don't think he'd be too upset about it, but the Austin has a news station, KAAL. Their sports director, Jose Solis, will be our special guest ring announcer for the entire evening. And
That'd be cool. He does a good job.
It is really a pleasure to have him on board. He's so excited about Lucha Union.
Good.
He is going to really going to have a great time with being a part of that show. Are you excited for the next round?
Dude,
I know.
Dude, I am beyond excited. I'm waiting to see who all we get booked on the show to see what I can do with them. But I did say one other place, and I'll say it here too. We will have our first women's match that night. That will happen. I will make sure that it does happen. So that's going to be something awesome too. Another first for Lucha Union.
Yeah, we are working diligently in the background trying to make that happen. Um, there's been a couple of couple of hangups, couple of setbacks in that way, but there will
Always
be.
is.
I know this is never easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But yeah, it's going to be a stacked card. We've already announced a couple of some talent. Rampage Santana, he'll be one of the first ones. People haven't seen him yet, but he will be part of that show. Icarus Alexander has been booked. We'll be seeing Septico, Electro, and Magico. They're all coming back from Chicago. They will be on the show as well.
They were in the trios match our first show. So
Yep.
they will be back again. They had a great time. They were so thankful for you guys for
Yeah.
being there and being so fired up. They're willing to drive back from Chicago again. They're
Yep.
looking forward to it. They
And
were so thankful.
Yep. We've got another new person in the ranks, the Monster Kingpin. This is a huge guy. I really hope that we have the ring set up to be able to manage someone of his size.
He's a
Um,
big dude.
Big dude. When I met him,
Big dude.
legitimately, when I met him over the summer, he had a match with Aaron Corbin. Aaron Corbin will also be back at Lucha Union along with Officer Rob Justice. But when I met Kingpin over the summer, he had a match with Aaron Corbin, and I kind of ran in there at the end and did my thing. But when I talked to Kingpin backstage, he was sitting down when I met him, and he was sitting, and he stood up to shake my hand, and I looked at it, but I said, "Good Lord, how many other wrestlers do you have to eat per day to stay this size?"
Dude, that had to be like on Wayne's World when that guy Garth is trying to get through the crowd. And he goes, "What do you want, you little dweeb?" And he shocks the shit out of him. That had to be like that. Like, excuse me, I'd like to get by now.
Oh, that's exactly. It was way bigger dude than I thought he was going to be. But anyway, he's going to be part of the next Lucha Union show. It's going to be a stacked house. LuchaUnion.com. Go buy your tickets. Randy, we've got a whole bunch of other socials to plug, but it would be unlike me to not turn it over to you. Where can they find you online?
I'm on Facebook, of course, Randy Herrig there, and on Instagram as Randy_Herrig_Wrestling W tomorrow. Still not with the blue check mark because them sons of bitches are so jealous of my handle, the longest, girthiest, blood-filliest foot long of handles on the damn forum. Give me that blue check mark.
Well said.
Ms. Arcs.
And if you're looking to find me, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me at Kenny Confidence. You can find me on there. Please add me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram at Gator McGraw, MAGRAW. My website is a work in progress, like I told you, but right now, KennyConfidence.com. I've still got the micro brawlers up for sale. The price, I have not changed the price. I've just kind of left them at $20. The Black Friday sale lives on.
Hey, nice.
You can find those at strictlygator.com. If you want to follow this podcast, we would love that. First of all, share this podcast to somebody that's starting a new role this year. Just share this podcast out. And if you can, please go on to whatever platform it is that you listen to it and leave us a 5-star review. We are officially starting with this episode. Every single episode will not only be audio on Spotify, but video as well. So you'll be able to watch it on Spotify. You'll be able to listen to it on Spotify. We're all over all of the podcast platforms. We're on YouTube as well. Kenny Confidence over there. Subscribe to it. You'll be able to watch the entire video there if you don't have Spotify. Our Instagram handle for this podcast is at wwt.pod. And we are also on the TikTok. We're on TikTok at Wrestling with Tomorrow. One more thing. I know you've sat through a lot with us today, and we appreciate you. We really, really do. Patreon. We would love to be able to grow our Patreon platform in 2026. We have to be able to afford things like Nasacort for Randy and Theraflu, things like that.
And sense of humor for Mike.
um, but here's what's happening. Every single month
What a maroon.
we do post a bonus episode. We've been posting them since September. For those of you that are already on Patreon at that paid tier, the $3 a month tier, thank you so much. If you're at the
You're the
$1 a
best.
month tier, if you're at $1 a month tier,
You're the
thank you
best
so
too.
much.
Absolutely.
Love it. Please join us over on Patreon for just a very small fee. It really does help us with this podcast, with our equipment, with our platforms that we're on. We do record on StreamYard. There is a fee to that every single month that right now just kind of comes out of our pockets. So all of that extra stuff that we get from Patreon goes right back into the podcast.
And we are legit too. We are not a daycare that is trying to embezzle your money. The $3 or the dollar really do go to what we're saying.
Although, oh no, I'm not going to go down that road. Anyway, we
act childish, but
that's true. That's true.
We're not a daycare though. I mean, this is it would mean a lot to us.
Right before this episode today, we did record our January bonus episode where we interviewed a longtime friend of ours. We've known him. We met him in 2099, somewhere in there. Gus Parsons. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking that Gus, it's that Gus. That Gus. But we talked to him a lot about, again, building confidence after setbacks. He's been on Theo Vaughn's podcast. He's been in the wrestling business a long time. He's
wrestled, been several promoters for things, and
he's been an understudy and things like that, or studied under rather some of the top names in lucha libre. It's very cool to see the world that he has been living in and kind of get a glimpse at that. And it was a really about an hour-long conversation we had with him. And that's going to be
nice to hear from him.
That is our January bonus episode, and that's the only way to hear it. So again, $1, $3, whatever you want to do, folks, we would appreciate it. Patreon.com/wrestling with tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Randy, close us out. Give us something good. Give us something good to go home with.
Hey, Gus, you better be watching this. You said you watch them all. Don't think you can't sell this one. And he'll know. He'll know. To close us out for today, be confident. Find it. Harness it. And remind yourself every single day that you are awesome and you can do what you want to do. Don't give up. Don't quit. We're here behind you. You can do it.
And that's all we have time for today, folks. Thank you again. Have a great day.